Hello, I'm Portia Young. Welcome to the January 2017 edition of 1036 here on Milwaukee PBS, channels 10 and 36. Some leading health experts say it is a silent disease of epidemic proportions. I'm talking about Alzheimer's, affecting 1 in 9 Americans aged 65 years and older. We take a closer look at a segment of the population that has a higher incidence of the disease, our Latino community. 1036 looks at the impact the diagnosis has on the patient and their caregiver.
Mami, ¿por qué no hacemos un té? ¿Okay? Porque se acuerda que la estufa ya no sirve. Está mala y está desconectada. Lo ponemos aquí y así no tiene que usar estufa.
Adriana Guevara is one of many people in the country who took on the role as a caregiver for her parents since they were diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, the most common form of dementia among older adults.
Los diagnosticaron a los dos, a mi papá y a mi mamá. Eso fue duro para nosotros porque uno cree que sus padres nunca van a envejecer o siempre lo van a proteger a uno. Entonces ya entendimos que teníamos que cambiar nuestro papel con ellos, teníamos que cuidarlos. Mi papá estaba más avanzado en la enfermedad. Ya no se acordaba de muchas cosas, se olvidaba de muchas cosas, hablaba y quedaba interrumpido porque no se acordaba. Él cumplió los 90 años y a las 2 semanas murió. Fue duro, pero estuvimos felices porque lo cuidamos. Mi mamá, con ella es un poquito más independiente, pero ya la enfermedad, ya se le olvida las cosas. Ella a veces se arregla el domingo pensando que se viene y no es, o a veces se duerme el lunes y no viene. Ya hay cosas de la cocina, es otra cosa que ya le hemos quitado, la estufa la desconectamos, o sea, eso es muy duro que dejen de hacer las actividades que han hecho antes. Pero lo aceptamos que necesitan más cuidados.
8, 9.
Alzheimer's disease is a neurological disorder that causes irreversible changes in the brain. It is a silent disease that targets the mind and the memories of the affected. It is the 6th leading cause of death in the United States and the 5th leading cause of death for those aged 65 or older. According to the Alzheimer's Association, 1 in 9 Americans over the age of 65 has Alzheimer's disease, with more than 5.3 million cases reported in the United States in 2016. It is expected that by the year 2050, the number of people aged 65 or older with Alzheimer's disease will reach to over 13.8 million.
Well, it's not an exaggeration to call it an epidemic. So we have about 5.3 million people right now in the United States with Alzheimer's. In Wisconsin, about 120,000, and in Milwaukee County alone, about 17,000. About 50% of the people with Alzheimer's actually have not been diagnosed, or they're misdiagnosed. They're just kind of out there in our communities. So it's a healthcare crisis, and many of the people don't even know they have it.
Evidence suggests that Alzheimer's disease is an illness that disproportionately impacts the population by ethnicity and race, with a variation of risk factors and a higher prevalence of the disease reported in minority groups such as African Americans and Hispanics, who are the fastest growing population in the United States.
The Hispanic population has a higher incidence and prevalence of the disease than the non-Hispanic population for many reasons. We know that lifestyles might be a risk factor for Alzheimer's disease. Low education may be a risk factor for Alzheimer's disease. Comorbidities like diabetes and hypertension might be a risk factor for Alzheimer's disease. And these could be reasons why we see a prevalence of Alzheimer's disease higher in the Hispanic population.
For some reason, unknown completely to science, Alzheimer's strikes earlier in life in Hispanics. As much as 7 years earlier in life, people begin to show the symptoms. So if you're a non-Hispanic white, you might show the symptoms in your mid-70s, Hispanic in your mid to late 60s.
Te traigo aquí y después te recojo por la tarde. ¿Ok?
Bueno,
Ficamos por aquí.
Bueno.
According to the National Alliance for Caregiving, there are about 8 million Latino family caregivers in the United States, and approximately 1.8 million provide care for a loved one or a family member. The United Community Center is home to the first bilingual Latino geriatric center in the city of Milwaukee, devoted to provide comprehensive and customized services to elderly individuals suffering with Alzheimer's disease. With the support of the Alzheimer's Association, the Medical College of Wisconsin, and other organizations, the Geriatric Center also provides diagnostic consultation for patients in both English and Spanish, a memory clinic for early prevention, as well as physical and social activities for patients to help them enjoy life.
Tienen actividades de grupo y otras cosas que sirve mucho es que la manera positiva como los tratan es muy bien. Y cada vez que recogemos a mi mamá le preguntamos qué pasó, qué tiene, está feliz.
Being a caregiver for a family member with Alzheimer's disease is not an easy task. Studies have found that these individuals are more likely to suffer from anxiety and depression, and often need social support. That is why the Latino Geriatric Center offers a program that includes training and support groups for family members and caregivers like Adriana.
Esta enfermedad es tan compleja que se necesita un conocimiento muy especializado, ya que no se puede hablar o tratar al ser querido como antes. Ahora es algo nuevo. Hay que aprender un idioma nuevo con la persona.
No contradecirlos, seguirle, como dice, la corriente, decirles si quieren hacer una cosa, tratar de cambiar el tema, decirles sí, lo vamos a hacer, como en muchos casos los señores que quieren manejar los carros y ya no pueden, entonces no encontramos las llaves, el carro no funciona. En el caso de mi mamá, la estufa es de gas y ya dijimos, se dañó la estufa. Y un día movió la estufa para ver qué estaba pasando y ya sabe que no puede cocinar. Cuando se confunde con los días, dice, ya no puedo estar sola.
For Maria Monreal Cameron, the United Community Center brings her precious memories about her late husband, who was an active member at the Latino Geriatric Center. For Maria, now an advocate for the fight against Alzheimer's disease for many years, it is very important to inform Latinos about the available resources that exist for families and caregivers who deal with Alzheimer's disease.
The thing that was most agonizing to me was losing this giant of this man. When I would talk to him and I would see that blank stare, or when we would finish talking to longtime friends and he would say, "Mom, who was that?" And I would say, "Really?" And he said, "Well, I have no idea." Many times I just wanted to grab him and shake him and say, "Ed, I know you're in there. I know you're in there. You have to come out. You have to come out." But because of the progression of the Alzheimer's dementia, that wasn't possible. To me, it was a very personal experience. My husband now has been gone now for 5 years. It was 5 years in May that my husband passed. For probably 2 or 3 years, these were the caregiver of my husband. I would drop them off here. They would take care of my husband. 2 days a week I would bring him. And I wouldn't have to worry. I would drop him off and pick him up and knew that he was in the best hands. We need to know that there's help. There are resources to help you cope with this caregiving role that people must have.
First off, Hispanics and Latinos right now are the most uninsured group in Wisconsin. So if you don't have health insurance, that's obviously a barrier of going to the doctor. But even if you do go to the doctor, there are some barriers around getting a proper diagnosis. Many of the tools that the practitioners use are culturally biased. They have language problems. There's another barrier in that there's not enough clinicians in Hispanic practicing doctors and clinics. And that's one of the great stories of UCC and the Latino Geriatric Center, because we're a national model now, because we have broken that barrier. We have dementia-capable care for Latinos in Milwaukee. That doesn't exist in some other parts of the country.
I think that if the person has concern about memory, or if a family member especially has concern about changes in the loved one, in the spouse or in the parent, if that concern has to be addressed, because one does not have to assume that we're dealing with a progressive Alzheimer's disease. One does not have to assume that this is just normal aging. Because in the field of Alzheimer's, we know that Alzheimer's disease is nothing but the end stage of a process that started probably 20 years earlier, if not even further back. So we need to intervene pharmacologically, not when the person has Alzheimer's disease, but before. Otherwise, we won't have enough time to make a difference.
It's a clear-cut disease. You can see what it does to brain cells. It destroys them. So by the time a person is in the middle stages of Alzheimer's, as much as 25% of their brain has actually been destroyed. It's not there anymore. So cure is a hard word because you'd have to figure out a way of not just replacing all those brain cells, but replacing all those memories. So the big goal in Alzheimer's is actually prevention, through research, to come up with ways to identify it as early as possible, even before the person is showing symptoms, and then take steps that will push it off into the future 5 years, 10 years, maybe allow people to avoid it 100%. That's the goal of the research.
¿Cuándo fue que te casaste?
El 55.
While there's currently no known cure for Alzheimer's disease or treatment to effectively reverse the damage, the ongoing research studies have helped in developing resources to create awareness and help families like Adriana's to understand how to live better with this disease.
Yo creo que no hay cura ahora, no va a haber cura cuando si de pronto me da, pero creo que de pronto los nietos y los bisnietos tienen una esperanza. Una cosa que creo que es importante es que la familia se involucre, no solamente la persona con que vive, sino los otros hijos o otras hijas. Y sobre todo, tener mucha paciencia y mucho amor a ellos, que ellos nos cuidaron.
Learn more about this rapidly growing public health crisis January 25th at 9 p.m. when PBS brings you the documentary Alzheimer's, Every Minute Counts. Watch it right here on Milwaukee PBS. 200,000 women from across the country head to Washington with an important message for President Donald Trump. 1036 caught up with 3 of those women from Milwaukee who have the frame of mind that women's rights are human rights.
Wow, I already got 30 likes. I said, I march for equality, for safety, and for individual and collective voices. I march for visibility, unity, and change. I march in memory of my strong, resilient abuela. I march for the legacy and honor of those who came before me.
I originally heard it from one of our congregants, Reverend Pat Schlick, and she's big on Facebook and I'm not. So she came in one day and she was talking about her daughters have decided they're going to go and she wants to go. And I said, I want to go. And the importance for us, I'll speak just for myself, is the ability to stand with other women and make a statement. Unity embraces diversity, and I've grown up in a very diverse community all of my life. And so that's an important thing for me.
There's a real importance in trying to create a coalition and not splintering off into groups with particular focused, narrow goals, which is a really difficult thing. And if you don't come together, then it's much, much harder to fight together. So I think that there's clearly power in numbers. I think that it's really important to remain vigilant, to watch what the government is going to do and planning to do, and to try and first of all, to try to be a step ahead. And we've already had enormous sort of warnings about what is coming, and to try and plan for that. And then as soon as, for example, as soon as something like Planned Parenthood defunding is going to come up for a vote, through social media, through every means possible, get people to call their representatives, continue with marches. I think another really important thing is to encourage young women, especially, to run for office in 2 years.
I march for our present generations and the many generations yet to come. I march for the weary, the weak, and the tired. I march for my rights. I march for my life.
Imagine a job that attracts 4,000 applicants. It happened to the National Park Service. Now imagine being the one person chosen for that position. Meet Milwaukee Area Technical College graduate Jared Ortiz.
Got that. All right. I'm really grateful for this opportunity. I'm honored. I can't believe that they chose me for this position.
My son being 1 in 4,000. What an honor.
I know that our HR department never wants to see 4,000 applications again.
It can only go to one, but to have it fall right here in Wisconsin.
Here I have this opportunity to serve my country again, at first in the military, doing 6 years with the Air Force, and now again for the rest of my career as the National Parks photographer. This position with the National Park Service, which is actually in the Heritage Documentation programs, is a dream job of mine.
The Heritage Documentation Program of the National Park Service documents historic places in the United States with measured drawings, written reports, and archival photographs, all housed at the Library of Congress, the largest library in the world. The NPS had to patiently wait 3 years before funds became available again to replace longtime staff photographer John Jet Lowe, who retired in 2013. And when it came time to hire, the unexpected happened.
Somebody on one of the large format blogs saw this a job announcement, and they sent out a blog and said something to the effect of, "You can be the next Ansel Adams."
Milwaukee native Jared Ortiz is off and running in his new job that quickly sent him to Cape Hatteras National Seashore for 4 days.
Cape Hatteras was basically a redocumentation of the Hatteras Lighthouse after they moved it. For those that don't know, Cape Hatteras is the tallest structure that's ever been moved, and they moved it back in 1999 because of erosion problems.
And he spent 11 days photographing the isolation ward and baggage and dormitory building at Ellis Island.
Ellis Island, that's a wild one. The area itself is so inspirational. You can feel the energy there, the historic energy from all the decades, everybody that came through there. But at the same time, it's a little bit daunting. I seriously thought to myself, I can't believe that I just did this. This is incredible. I really hope it turns out. It's all filmed.
His next assignment? Photograph the East Potomac Park Golf Course, formerly Haynes Point, an historic landscape in the National Capital Region, an area known for some of DC's first cherry blossom trees. On this autumn day in Washington, D.C., pink cherry blossoms have given way to just a hint of fall color. Jared works along the historic Potomac River in the shadows of the Washington Monument and Jefferson Memorial.
That's the beauty of it. You never know what's going to happen. You go from one extreme to the other. The whole thing with the golf course is more like of a landscape shot, so you're looking for the way that the landscape lends itself to the eye, I guess, and the way that it interacts with the surrounding area of DC. So it was a lot of focusing on what monuments you could see.
No matter the assignment, no matter the 50, 60-hour work weeks and continuous 12-hour days, Jared loves what he does.
Yeah, this is awesome out here. I'm very happy, and the clouds behind the monument are awesome right now. I love it, but I have to be honest, I'd probably bet you that a lot of people would not want to be this person because it is so demanding. I think that a lot of people had a misconception of what this job really was. I think a lot of people really thought it was going to be landscapes and all this and that, but it's really a lot more industrial than that. And I love it. I've been doing this kind of photography since before I even got here.
Let's head back to Milwaukee for a moment to understand how Jared really did get here.
I saw it on Facebook, and I shared it on Facebook, and I saw it in numerous places. It was everywhere. And I actually called him and said, "Did you see this? Are you gonna?" "Oh yeah, I'm on it. I'm on it. I'm gonna be working on that."
Jared, who had been working as a freelance photographer, believes he won the highly sought-after position partly because he mastered the specific type of large format camera, 4x5 or 5x7, that the National Park Service requires.
We have been shooting our documentary photographs with a view camera since the programs were founded in 1933. And there are primarily two reasons. One is that it captures more information than any other type of photography. That information is stored in pixels within the photographs so that you can blow up these documentary photographs to a very large proportion and still retain the clarity and the depth and the lines that you had. The other reason is because of the archivability of the negative. We have never lost a photograph because of a deterioration, and all of our negatives are stored at the Library of Congress under archival conditions. Digital can't make that claim.
My love for the view camera and why I wanted to use it, or be formally taught on how to use it, is because I learned about Ansel Adams' photography, and when I saw his photographs and learned that they were done on film and what his whole history was, I had to know what kind of camera he was using, and I come to learn that he's using a view camera.
Jared had probably the best mix of experience and skills and knowledge and the ability to put it all together, and he just eased into technical discussions.
19 minutes plus 19 and a half minutes plus another 30, that's 20 minutes. Then back into here for a 10-minute wash, so that's about 40 minutes, and then in there for a minute for each piece of film. So
We were surprised that he was as young as he is. We were very impressed with how quickly he came in and was able to take command of the dark room and of the equipment.
when I'd be in here in the dark, I would have my film holders right here. My love for photography happened so fast. My brother's a photographer too, and he started getting into it at the exact same time as I did. I enrolled at MATC in their photography program in the spring of 2010, and I decided to go to MATC because I looked at all the other programs in the area. I mean, even down in Chicago, out in Madison, all over the place in the Midwest, and they were the only school that was offering a view camera class.
When somebody comes in your class and they, from first day, they're like, I came here because I want to learn this camera. Oh, wow, great. Why don't you sit over here? It's a very manual camera. It has no auto controls. It has nothing in it it can be a crutch for a potential photographer. You have to master it, and this was one of the very first camera systems that was ever invented. The design of the camera has not changed in over 100 years. And to anybody that's really, really interested in history, there's an intrigue that's built into it. In Jared's interest, masterpieces were created with that kind of a camera. It teaches you to slow down. It teaches you the basic fundamentals of composition and framing and perspective control. You look at the world upside down through this camera, and that whole process forces you to really learn to see differently.
Oh, wow. Holy cow, this is really good.
Jared's character, patient, especially when it comes to taking photographs.
1004, 1005, 1006, 1000.
Patience certainly plays a big role. The tedious job of accurate measurements and attention to detail often lead to wait times of 45 minutes or longer before even taking the photograph.
This is a picture-making camera. You control, you pre-produce, you plan, you have to have patience, you have to have dedication, and the work is put into the capture, to the taking of the photograph.
Oh, I'd almost wish that this light would be reversed. The building would be in light right now and this foreground would be in shadows, and that way that building just stands out, and it looks like it's gonna happen soon, so I gotta figure this out.
This is one of the places where Jared really stood out. He looked for an ability to capture a site as it was without having to do any serious manipulation of the photograph in the lab. So he basically shot to print. And then when he sent his portfolio in for us to review, it was clearly what we were looking for.
The things that I like to photograph the most in Milwaukee are old architectural, or old industrial buildings, I should say. And you can look at them, these buildings, and see what drove this city at one point, what made this city great. My love for industrial photography is basically rooted with the car rides that my father used to take me on when I was younger.
While working as a Milwaukee police officer, there'd be a number of times you would get dispatched to these businesses that were old buildings. I always found it interesting, just the history in general of the city of Milwaukee.
This is where it all started for me. These are where I took my first photographs. You learn a lot of hard lessons, and there were a lot of times where I wanted to give up.
In his second semester, he was going to drop out. He didn't have any money. He was like waiting for his VA, his GI Bill, and they were delaying, and there was some glitch with the paperwork. I sensed that this guy's he's just got he's got the desire and the passion. And I just said, how much you need? And I wrote him a check. And 2 months later, he came, pulled me aside, and he's like, here, I want to thank you. And I think that also was a bond. That was something that he didn't want to let me down.
Or let down his family, to whom he is forever grateful.
I'm lucky in that regard that I got a mom, a dad, and then this wonderful stepfather who's been there the whole time for me. My mom said that she was praying every night for months. So I know that she was really happy, and she was actually right there by me when I got the phone call.
With prayers answered, Jereb headed to Washington to begin his new adventure. His focus remains on doing the best job possible, despite any distractions.
I can just seriously just block everything out and just focus so hard on what it is that I do, because it just matters so much to me what I'm doing. I want it to be good. I want it to be right.
Being resourceful comes in handy too. Having to use a Titleist golf towel to replace his black camera cloth he forgot at the office. Whatever the conditions, his goal and drive always remain the same.
I have to look at every assignment as a favorite assignment because everybody wants the best possible outcome from those assignments.
He's very good, and we've been very pleased. It was the right choice.
His photographs will eventually be archived in the Library of Congress. It's just amazing.
Oh, and by the way, that's a place Jereb has yet to visit.
I haven't had time for that.
A busy guy indeed. We're busy producing our next episode of 1036, so please join us next month, Friday, February 17th at 7:30, right here on Milwaukee PBS. It's January, so we leave you with some chilling sights from above. Stay warm.